It is time to talk about the survey that was taken, in which we had already had the feeling that as far as the heroin epidemic in the city, in the suburbs, this great heroin epidemic that's going around, we just got our latest report says that in the opioid crisis, the overdose death up 36% in 2016. And the Ohio Coroner's Office say this toll is to rise this year. So from 36%, they're saying this might can go up 10%, 46%, or even 50% because it's at 30%, 36% right now. Again, overdose death up 36%. Go ahead, son. 36%. Don't play in the water, son. 36%. Man, oh man, in Ohio. And so, we've been paying a lot of attention to this heroin report. And we realize that many from the governor on down, health administrators, everybody, the president himself, has reached out and said we must do something about this heroin epidemic in our country, and particularly zeroing in Ohio. So we and we're all for that. Being a heroin addict at one time myself, I know the pains and suffering of an addicted person, particularly with heroin. So I just don't want to make light of the fact that whoever needs help should get help and get all the help they can to get off this terrible drug. I know personally the devastation that it can do to you because when I was on it, it made me steal from my mama. So I know the devastation of a heroin addiction. It has no bounds when it comes to when it comes to this addiction. However, as we ventured out into our community, what we found out that there was a lot of people that we talked to that said that, hey man, the white folks, the suburbanites, that's getting strung out and addicted now, in a sense they were saying goody goody, not in those terms, but because they ignored the black community so long when we were going through our addictive process and still going through our addictive process, they always rolled us off and told us that we had to pull ourselves up by our own bootstrap, or we should know better, or we could do better, or ha 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 ha. And we just kept getting those kind of conversations from various people. So we thought we'd do a survey and find out just what percentage of you all felt like that. And it was astounding when our researcher from Melanated Media News, Sam, went out and did this research, a mathematical poll, and dealing with percentage-wise, Sam, dealing with percentage-wise, what was the people that felt like this?
The people spoke, and over 90% of the voters felt exactly how you're saying. They felt it was karma. They felt, basically it was karma, as you would say.
Give me some hot chocolate.
All right, hold on a minute. What'd you say, son?
I said, Porter, give me some hot chocolate.
Okay, good. All right. I got my little 8-year-old in the studio with me. I know. I'm an old man with an 8-year-old. He's about to drive me crazy. He said, Porter, gonna give him some hot chocolate, which is good. But the fact of the matter is that the survey. What did the survey actually ask, brother?
The survey asked. I tried to make it as basically say what you just said.
Yes.
Do you, as the black community, or do you? No, because I wanted to open it to everybody. So the question was, do you feel that the heroin epidemic is karma for ignoring the crack epidemic.
And 90. Listen, I would have predict that it would have been somewhere around 40 percent or maybe 50. But to say 90%, that means the black community is not satisfied with the way the suburbanites and the white community is being treated now with their drug epidemic.
Well, hold on, because it wasn't. I didn't. It was white suburbanites that partook in the survey also. So they feel, some of them feel the same way as the black community.
Okay, that makes it even more interesting that 90% of those polled, both suburbanites and people from the hood, they felt that it was it is somewhat karma that now the suburban community is reaping the same hell, the same suffering that the inner city has suffered for the last 20 years. And so it's very interesting. 90%.
Over 90, yes.
Over 90%. Yes. So I want those that want to call in and give us. We don't want to be. You can be mean, but keep it clean. If you feel like that the mistreatment that has been perpetrated on our communities, the black communities, for so long as far as the drug epidemic is concerned, do you feel that the suburbanites are somewhat getting what they deserve now that they didn't think any better of help? We're having some phone difficulties. All right, who's on? Yes, talk to me.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, a storm in here, and I got knocked off the air because of, I don't know, thunder, lightning, or whatever.
Wow.
I'm glad they brought it up because I was just going to ask, where was the help for the ones who were using the crack users? It almost devastated the black community.
So Miss Hattie, I hear you loud and clear. We didn't get no help, did we?
No, we did.
We got talked about, abused, and said it was all our fault, didn't we?
Yes.
Lord have mercy. How'd that make you feel, Miss Hattie?
It makes you feel as if you, if nobody cared. They usually don't until it hits the Caucasian community.
And now that they hit the Caucasian community, it seems like everybody cares, right?
There you go.
Lord have mercy. We're not hating on them, but we sure wish they could have saw our pain a long time ago, don't we?
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Hattie. I just thank you for your phone call and your honesty, okay?
Okay, and we'll keep listening.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.
All right.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Can you believe it? You can let the music play a little bit. Can you believe 90% of
over 90
90% of Melanated Media News poll, along with the University of Common Sense, over 90% of the people feel like the white community, the suburbanite community, is kind of getting what they deserve because the way they treated our community for over 20 years or better, as we suffered badly all the way from our children to our grandparents, how we suffered with that great drug epidemic, and they just laughed at us. Literally. Said, lock them up, throw away the key. Lord have mercy. Turn it down a little bit, son. Said, lock them up, throw away the key. Say, oh, they should know better. Oh, my goodness. They said everything but the fact of what they said now as far as help. Who's on?
Oh, okay. Hi, Brother McCoy. I'm calling because I have been disgusted by the fact that our community has been ignored. First off, let me say good evening to you and your staff and your listeners.
Yes.
My name is Diana, and I'm not going to say that they're getting their just desserts or something that they deserve, but I am going to say that we as a community need to stand together and make them know that we are not going to accept their ignoring our situation. Just the other day, a few days ago, Channel 19 aired a spot asking for the community's help in dealing with the heroin and opiate addiction. The black community, the inner city, has been and is still being devastated by the crack epidemic, something that was thrust upon us. Nothing is being done. Heroin addicts, opiate addicted persons have a special court. They have special rehab facilities. This is all new, being built and set up by the powers that be. They can go and get all kinds of help for their families and themselves, while the black community, still being devastated by crack, receives nothing. Our crack addicts go to jail.
Yep.
If you're fortunate enough to go to rehab, it's just for 30 days, nothing spectacular. You're going out and you're back into the neighborhood where you once were. However, commit a crime, be a heroin addict, and you have an opportunity to go to special rehab, and they will move heaven and earth to help you, your children, and your family. And we as a community have to stop taking it. They even announced on television a year or so ago that they need to do something about the heroin because most of the overdoses were Caucasians. No one stood up and said, what about us and crack? They went on television and said this in those exact terms. When are we as a people going to stop being disregarded, disrespected, and looked over just because we happen to have brown skin? It's disgusting, deplorable, and we need to get together and do something about it. I hate seeing it, and I'm sorry they have that issue, but I'm tired of it. I don't care about your heroin addicts, your opiate addicts, because in my community, crack has devastated too many families and too many people, and we need to stand together and make them, force them, do something about it, because we can. We have the opportunity. We just need to take it, and I'm so thankful that you put this out there, and I hope that you keep putting it out there, and that someone somewhere will listen to your show and finally make our voice heard. And I just wanted to thank you.
I thank you so much, ma'am. I couldn't have said it any better myself.
Was that, where are the drug sweeps? Where are the, how you would go down the street and see 10 black people laying on the ground or in handcuffs or against the wall? You don't see that in the suburbs. If the heroin epidemic is so bad, where are the drug dealers? Where are the football numbers, as they like to say, for them, for the drugs being in the community? It's kind of almost like it's a silent epidemic as far as compared to the inner city, where you could see people waiting in lines to buy drugs. You could see people that were on drugs stealing and walking down the street with TVs and all kind of different things. You could see it as it was happening. Whereas the suburbs, it's kind of like it's behind closed doors, but you know it's going on. What do you think about that?
It is going on because you can't deny overdose. You can't deny overdose, and the overdose death rate, 36% in 2016, which might go up 10 points to 46%, which brings us into another area, Brother Sam of Melanated Media News. During the whole epidemic that was going on in the black community, we never, ever heard of them presenting an antidote. And what is the antidote that they present now, Brother Sam?
My pronunciation may be off, but it's nanaxolin or something like that. You can get it over the counter, different things like that. It's widely available.
All right, and what? So I will go further with what. So a person can have a heroin overdose now, and they can and they can legally have this on them personally, or the police have it, or
yes, the medics have it, and different things. So we're talking about heroin, but what is really causing it is fentanyl. I think we should touch on that.
I understand that.
That's the epidemic.
I understand that, but right now, listen. Never in history have there been an antidote to save lives when it was in our community. Have you ever heard of an antidote?
I remember the drug-free T-shirts.
That wasn't an antidote, was it?
Yeah, that's all we got. I remember getting that in school.
We never got an antidote.
Yeah, the Dare.
Yeah,
the Dare shirt.
Yeah, no antidote. But now there's an antidote, and we thank God for this antidote because we want to save as many lives as possible. But I'm just telling you what's being related into with this poll and the conversation that the people are talking about in the street.
And again, I had to call back because I listened to your previous caller, and I do not agree with where he was taking the conversation. It is not a matter of the money. I have lived in the suburbs as far as Brook Park, and I've lived in the inner city off of 55th. And addicts everywhere know how to get whatever it is they're addicted to. The problem that I believe you're discussing is the treatment of the inner city people of color. And I do not understand why anyone would not understand what you're saying. It's not the money. It's not the location of the addicted person. It's not even the location of their family. It's about the color of their skin and the treatment of those addicts according to the race lines.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the problem that we need to have faced in the city right now, because the addicts addicted to heroin and opiates are treated better, kinder, and with compassion. Their families are given support. Versus the people of color in the inner city who are addicted to crack, their families are ridiculed, shunned, overlooked, and ignored. That is something that we need to address as a people, as voters. It's time to elect a new mayor. What is that person going to do? Our current mayor hasn't done anything. He's overlooking the inner city on all levels, especially our issues with the drug problem. The drug problem in the inner city has devastated so many families. It caused grandparents, aunts, and uncles to have to raise children that they otherwise would not have had to raise. We need to take this to the streets, take this to the ballot box. We need to have our concerns addressed. We need to have our addicted persons given the same respect that the other addicts are given. The crimes committed by people addicted to heroin and all of that, fentanyl and all of that, they're given the opportunity to do better. A person addicted to crack who commits a crime is thrown into jail. Their families are given no support. That's just the way it is. That's the way it's been. People have forgotten that the government sent the crack to our neighborhoods. I mean, it was on television. 2020 did a special on it.
Absolutely.
And they did a special on the heroin epidemic in Ohio because Ohio is doing something that no other state is doing as far as the special rehab facilities. They did it on, I think, Nightline. And 60 Minutes did it, and they were showing how they have special facilities for the families and the addicted persons, the persons addicted to heroin. We have not asked anyone to step up to the plate and do anything for our families and our crack-addicted persons. This is not going to go away. It is going to get worse, and the only reason that exists is because our people in the inner city, people of color everywhere, have not made their voices heard.
Yes,
if
ma'am.
we would come together and make them, because we can.
All right.
They came together, and they do. It's not that they're smarter, and it's not just the money. It's just that white people, on the whole, are more aggressive.
Yes, they are.
That's how they take everything from other races. We need to get together. Stop worrying about where people live. Stop worrying about how much money they have. And realize we're brown-skinned individuals. Whatever shade of brown you want to call it, it's brown, and you're overlooked.
All right.
We need to get fair treatment for our people.
All right. Thank you for your phone call. I got to move on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just to go corporate instead of local, heroin, this is in New Orleans, heroin's so common that Walgreens sells remedy without prescription. You don't even need a prescription in New Orleans to get a heroin antidote.
All right. You don't need a prescription here. I don't think you need a prescription here. Hey, call back. We have a little phone difficulty. Call back and we'll be able to take your phone call. Just call back. Little phone difficulty. Call right back. But listen, in case you're not aware, is that the president of Black on Black, Al Porter, along with Judy Martin and some others, they can actually tell you that this is the truth. Our organization is the first organization in Ohio to predict this heroin epidemic was coming. We even protested and tried to tell the people that the heroin epidemic was coming. We did our protest at Severance Center.
Yes.
Severance Center at the Magic Johnson Theater at that time. It's something else now. Where American Gangster was coming out. We told the people of Ohio, Cleveland, and the United States that this heroin epidemic was coming then. We're first on the record. Check our record on this. Of course, by us being ground root, street level, we knew that this was coming. But here's what happened with it. They didn't listen to us then. And the reason they didn't listen to us then is because we knew that originally this heroin epidemic was first and foremost, it was targeted again for the black community.
Yes.
It wasn't targeted for the suburbanites and rural Ohio. It was targeted again for the inner city black community. But it was diverted. And it was diverted to the suburbanite and the white community. Now, who could divert this? It is my philosophy that only God could divert this. Why do I say that? It's because, listen, if you know anything about Scripture, it says, let my people go. And so 20 years of devastation or more of what has went on in our community as far as drugs is concerned. Yes. And then, so we finally began to get a little light up after 20 years. And no, they want to put the heroin right back in our community to paralyze us for another 20 years. I think God was tired. God was tired. And I think God said, let my people go or I will let you feel the warmth of what these people has felt. And that's just my opinion on what's happening with this heroin epidemic right now. And like the young lady was saying just a moment ago, listen, the young people in our community that's doing crazy things right now, is they're killing one another, say, what's wrong with those young people? They're 18 and 17 and 20. 20 years ago was the heart of the crack cocaine epidemic, where grandmamas, mamas, daddies were all strung out. These young people are a product of that epidemic that was going on. So closing, what I'm saying is that 20 years from now, the people that are suffering with these heroin epidemics right now, they will face that same thing of what's happening with our young children. What's happening with our children? It'll be the same thing that we're facing right now if they're not careful. Now, here's what the young lady's saying and wrapping it up, okay? What she's saying is this. the best way to atone for what they've done to our community is the best way to atone is to help us. It's in the same way you help yourself, help us to overcome what we're going through as far as this drug epidemic that we've been going through, and we can both get healed together. Who's on the line? Talk to me.
Yes, I'd like to make a statement here.
Yeah.
Everything you say is very true, but you know what? Blacks must look at thyself, because you know what? You explained that you went through the experience, and I hope every black brother and sister understand you, because you know what? The heights don't represent us at all. Let them do what they gotta do, but we must stand tall as blacks, and knowing that this system is capitalism, and they brought it in the suburbs, and they brought it in here. But one thing about it, who has the most money? The suburbs. And the suburbs have the right people backing them up, just like Cleveland. Cleveland has a lot of millionaires in here, billionaires. Downtown is really related to a lot of issues in Cleveland. We just do not know what's going on. And it's always a saying that who knows who knows. Remember that.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
you
you.
so much. I think